Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope all is good tonight. It's early in the morning here, and I still have much work to do after I finish this. So I'm going to go through this one relatively quickly. I'm checking my volume. Yeah, there we are. But I thought it was interesting, and I do want to talk about it. Before I start, if you guys enjoy what I'm putting down, please feel free to share, like, or subscribe, particularly if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications to make sure that you get this show when it comes out. And you can always support the content through Patreon, or for that matter, PayPal, or Streamlabs, or Super Chat. I guess there's all sorts of ways you can support the show now. So, I often don't necessarily know how to deal with stuff like this, anonymous tips, because sometimes I'm unclear on what's fair and what's the right way to handle it. So I will handle it as if giving the tip itself, meaning what I was told, and giving my perspective of the tip itself, and whether or not I think it's credible or whether or not I think it has legs. I received an anonymous tip to explain why Andrew Gillum, the one that's running for governor in Florida, is deciding to campaign with Debra Wasserman Shultz and Hillary Clinton. So sources close to the Gillum campaign, at least based on what the tip is saying, believes, you may not know what's going on. So in Florida right now, DeSantis is saying that Gillum is anti-Semitic and that he's not a friend of Israel. For example, take a look at this article. But there's a few. If you put in Gillum and anti-Semitic, all sorts of articles come up, essentially why he's being attacked for this. Andrew Gillum campaign says attacks casting him as anti-Israel are irresponsible. They're just irresponsible. I love that. Essentially, you're a racist, buddy. Hey, that's irresponsible. So from sources say that, and just so you know, Gillum ran that race as an unabashed lefty, meaning when you look at the campaign videos, when you hear some of the stuff he was saying, an unabashed lefty. He ran hard to the left, didn't look back, and he won that primary that way. From everybody else's perspective outside of that race, immediately after winning the primary, it seemed like he tacked to the left. He was attacking Venezuela, talking about getting rid of dictators. Mind you, he's a governor of Florida talking about foreign policy and being hawkish on foreign policy at that. And then all of a sudden he's going to campaign with Debra Wasserman Shultz and Hillary Clinton. Essentially, now I cast this as essentially shedding his credibility for the sake of the likes of Debra Wasserman Shultz. From the whole point though is source, and yeah, I always get sketchy about stuff like this, but let me say it this way. Sources say that his campaign believes that this anti-Semitic stuff that DeSantis is using against him came from Debra Wasserman Shultz. That's the thought. That Debra Wasserman Shultz asked him to go campaigning with her, and he politely declined and said no. I mean, somebody called him racist, and he's given this polite, these attacks are irresponsible. So at the point where the source said he probably politely declined, he probably did politely decline. A day or two later, after that, the anti-Semitic stuff started coming up, where this started to be used as an attack piece that DeSantis started to use. The belief of the campaign, at least based on the source, is that this was from Debra Wasserman Shultz, that this was either a tip or something that initiated this, where DeSantis started using this kind of as an attack piece. They believe this because of the proximity of the attacks. A turn down, and then immediately following a turn down, these type of attacks start coming up. The reason why he's deciding to campaign with Debra Wasserman Shultz, at least based on what the source is saying, is to rebuff these attacks. Debra Wasserman Shultz is Jewish, and this idea of I need to rebuff attacks that I'm anti-Semitic by going on campaign with somebody who's Jewish. And for that matter, Clinton. Two things. I don't think DeSantis necessarily needs a tip from Debra Wasserman Shultz to hit Gillum on being anti-Semitic. I would imagine he would hit Gillum with whatever he can hit Gillum with. The last thing he wants is for Gillum to win that election, especially when you have Rick Scott that's in office now, meaning a Republican holding it. I would imagine he hits him with any and everything at his disposal to hit him with. When Ocasio-Cortez was sitting down with, it was Firing Line. William Buckley used to run that show. I think but it's under PBS now. I can't think of the name of the show. And she was asked about her position on Israel and Palestine. And that was the video where she was like, she accidentally said occupied territories, meaning accidentally telling the truth that they were occupied territories. And she got hit with that from right-wing media. Take a look at this. Okay. I've seemed to lost you guys. I will upload the video afterwards, but I am going to keep going. So take a look. Same article, the Miami Herald. Right here. Now, at this point, Gillum is putting all of his eggs in the basket of, I don't support BDS, so I can't be anti-Semitic. I just support Palestinians. Now, the problem with this is you're on the defense trying to explain yourself, and regardless of whether or not there's a legitimacy to it or not, it's almost like screaming fire. If you scream fire loud enough, there'll be some people who think there's fire, and there'll be other people at the very least talking about whether or not there's fire. At the end of the day, you're still talking about whether or not there's fire. This is not necessarily the conversation you want to be having. Right here. Though Florida's governor has little sway over diplomatic relations with Israel, Gillum's positions are consequential when considering the state's substantial Jewish population, which is essentially somewhere around 630,000 Jewish voters have historically voted Democrat, and Gillum could suffer if the demographic becomes wary of his policies. Gillum has a Jewish problem. Or at the very least, he thinks he does. Debra Wasserman Shultz, the campaign believes, had something to do with him having a Jewish problem. And in campaigning with them, he believes that he may be able to put a backstop behind this quote-unquote Jewish problem. The thought is sound. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But the idea is sound. This doesn't seem to be reconnecting, so I'm going to end this here, and I'll upload the original. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the Patreon. Thanks all.